Can you hear me? Huh. Can you hear me? On computer audio. Cancel. Oh my God. Okay. Says viewer. Okay, if you cannot hear me, then room, start recording, settings, audio. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. I figured it out. There's this button that says audio. I guess I had to hit that. Okay. All right. So it is recording, so I can go back and edit it, I am sure. But what I want...
Do you want to do it chronological order? How do you want to do it, from the start, or how do you want to do it? It's up to you.
Okay, well, what I want you to do is introduce yourself, and pretty much the line placement that I had is I wanted to start with them pretty much snatching your life away from you. And
okay.
you know, it's just hard for me to believe that you spent that much time in there and you still have to fight and you still have to battle, even today with it. I'm glad that you are home, and you do so much in the community. And, you know, I follow you on social media, and we've spoken prior, and, you know, I go into your lives.
You're hilarious, too.
Yeah.
You're hilarious on Instagram.
But, yeah, I have two sides of me. The very serious one that likes to, you know, take this stuff very serious. But, you know, I got to live. So hopefully I'm glad you get humor from that. That's pretty much the goal on that.
You actually had me laughing out loud a couple of times. This has taken a toll on me, though. I have a lot of health issues.
Right.
I have a lot of. I actually had a seizure last night for the first time. I have a spinal thesis, herniated disc, degenerative disc disease, severe arthritis, spine, bone spurs in my spine. Sciatic nerve pain, high blood pressure, and, you know, just a whole random host of stuff.
Well, I can imagine. I know that I have been incarcerated 3 times in the Florida Department of Correction, and the health care there is non-existent, really.
Yeah.
So the amount of time that you did is nowhere compared to what I have. And I'm sure that you were neglected.
It's still hell.
Right.
Jail is still hell.
Right.
Jail is still hell. It's eternity. A lot of what I'm going through, I believe, is because the officers are ordered not to drink the water, and it's full of radium-223. And so basically what radium does, it goes into your bones like calcium. Then they hit you with high levels of soy in the diet, and that blocks your body from absorbing vitamin D.
You know, I can imagine. I know when I was in county jail, they had Kool-Aid that they would, it was in like a gallon jug, and they used to give it to us. But on the jug was a skull and crossbones.
Fun times there. Hey, kids, drink up.
Right.
Hey, that's literally the Jim Jones effect.
Right. So I kind of drank the water the whole time, figuring, you know, that it would be better for me than the juice, but I'm sure that it wasn't much better in there. I have a whole bunch of conspiracy theories of population control and prison being the new form of slavery, and they don't care anything about us. Like, they snatched your life away. You did, how many years were you in, 23?
I was in Stateville for 23. I'm in my 25th year right now. I've been out on bond for a year and a half.
Okay. They gave you a life sentence. You've been out on bond for a year and a half, and now you get a new appeal, correct?
Yeah, I actually was facing the death penalty, which is really strange because they literally planted the evidence. They told the
Right.
mother of the victim in '94 after my trial that, yeah, they couldn't find a gun, so they just used mine.
No. You know, I've read some of it, and you know, like them confessing that they just planted a gun on you. The Illinois cop planted a gun on you. Just what is commonly known as, we just need a suspect to make the department look better, and they will close many cases with doing that.
Yeah, I like this rapper. His name is Lupe Fiasco, and he has a line called "Planned Convalescence."
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, the trajectory of my life went through DCFS. You know, mother gave me up. No brothers and sisters. Gang member in the '80s. Recidivist, right? So I'm 53 now. The only time I've ever been free is 1 year since 14. I've been connected to the system one way or another since I was 14.
Yeah, you know, I want you to let everybody know, especially now with you being out on bond. I really want people to follow you and support you with this new appeal, so that they know that, like, do you have any upcoming dates coming up soon?
Yeah, actually, I already won the appeal. So in 2017, I was granted a new trial. The state appealed that to the appellate court to try to stop the circuit court from granting me a new trial. Right. You know, after 5 rounds of gun testing, you would think they would say, hey, sorry, Mr. Pursley, you could go home. No. But unfortunately, they gave me a new trial, and I had to bond out, and I was subjected to what they call pretrial services, which I don't know if you know anything about, like Meek Mill's, like all these conditions on you. So they basically dragged me for a year and a half through that, and they locked me up twice on pretrial violations. But what's really ironic is that when I was about to make bond, the mother of the victim went to the state's attorney's office and told the state's attorney, you know, back in '94, what the detectives told her, they couldn't find the gun. And the state's attorney did not reveal this until about 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to start trial on the 13th of this month.
Right.
And now it's been kicked another 2 months because of this new revelation of planting the gun. And who has higher credibility than the mother of the victim? And it wasn't like she was really trying to help me. She was kind of like that angry aspect, like, you guys messed up the case, you know? And so, but the state's attorney didn't reveal this when I was about to make bond. And so all of this, what I've just went through for the last year and a half, basically has been for naught.
It's unbelievable. Well, you know, being the victim's mother, it's like I know that she has to have a lot of mixed emotions, because one, she lost her son. Two, she probably just felt better knowing that the blame was handed to somebody. It might have gave her some peace, but knowing as a mother that the killer is probably still out there, and you knew that the cops had told you, well, you know, we just put this gun on him to close the case. Like, I don't understand how they would tell a mother that, and a mother could be silent about it for so long. I think maybe she just got the comfort knowing, well, at least something's being done. I don't know. Like, I can't comprehend what she could be thinking. And I know that I've been following you for a minute, and I know that you were having the coming up court date. I was actually trying to get an interview with you before, so I've been following it, and I've seen that new evidence had surfaced, and I'm like, oh my God, like, why don't they just throw it out and leave this man alone?
You would think, you know? Right?
It didn't know it. The sister, knowing the evidence that, you know, her mother had provided, is still saying that, you know, she knows you did it, and you know, and I'm just like, you know, I think that was on an older case that she had said that, so maybe it might be
Yeah, that
different
was like when
now.
I was getting ready to bond out. That was when I was getting ready to bond out. She really badmouthed me. But
Hmm.
here's what's really ironic is that there was there was two other sets of police reports. Actually, there was three things. The gun is just one thing, but
Hmm.
they actually the night of the crime they stopped someone, and he lived in the area, and they let him go.
Hmm.
Uh, the last day of my trial, he was arrested for the same exact crime, right? And there was another person who they had was given a police report about um, pertaining this guy running around robbing people, and he had a 9 millimeter. Now I don't know if they did it or not, but just the aspect as far as how just there's a I'm sorry for my rap references, but there's an old Eazy NWA line. It's like, put the fence around the boy, he can do the time.
Right.
And it's just it's just really something where they can really make money off your demise,
Hmm.
even on the pretrial violations. I would expect that Rockford was easily able to rack up about $80,000 to $100,000 just in incarcerating me, forced me to go to a drug program. I took pills that weren't prescribed to me because of my back. They locked me up for that. They locked me up for dirty drops. They, and I'm trying to promote something positive. You know what I mean? This is the irony of it,
Right.
that I'm just really trying to, the kid culture, IamKidCulture.org. Actually, this was an idea that was developed while I was in prison in 2002. Had no idea if I was ever getting
Right.
out or not. And I took a bunch of classes under professors from Loyola, DePaul, Northwestern, Northeastern University from
Uh-huh.
Chicago, and developed this curriculum to reach at-risk youth. And we
Right.
had such a response. These
Yeah.
professors was using my stuff in Chicago, now down here in Champaign, colleges, high schools, ready programs, gang peace circles, you name it. And so I really come out here to build something. Obviously, I had no idea if I was getting out when I developed that in 2002, and I had actually wrote a book called The Adventures of Kid Culture and the World Explorers, and that's actually on Amazon now, Volume 1 in the Queen's Chamber. And this whole idea of kid culture grew out of this book idea. And, like I said, we have, we built a studio, our basement, have a mixtape,
Hmm.
we're just trying to do something positive, and just going through this and going through the health issues is just, you know, it's fun times. That's
Yeah, I mean,
that's about the best way I can put it.
with the I Am Kid Culture, the mixtape, is that available for purchase?
Oh yeah, yeah. Our site, IamKidCulture.org, right? We have it for download, and I mail off CDs also through PayPal. I'm I'm just grinding. Actually, the CD kind of tells the story of the wrongful conviction, but
Hmm.
also the violence in Rockford, the gang violence, and also the hope, right? So a lot of times when I was behind bars, I was I was a writer. I was a jailhouse lawyer, but I was also a writer. And I
Hmm.
always started with like the most grisly aspects, start with blood and end with hope. And so the Kid Culture Mixtape
Right.
is it's a story based upon real events that's happened in Rockford and happened in my life. And it's all intertwined. All these issues are intertwined. And so we really have we just got it done, just getting out there. We also have another site, kc-talent.com. That's Kid Culture Talent LLC, and so we're not just using music just to run our mouth. We're actually trying to get tours to the colleges for the at-risk youth. I'm trying to build bridges between our blighted communities to the hollow halls of higher learning.
Right. That's amazing. And then I think you went live the other day and you actually had a dance competition.
Yeah, yeah. So we filmed. We have a center where probably I'll be teaching there, doing workshops, content creation, and workshops for at-risk youth called Booker Washington Center. So we filmed a dance battle between the group that won the Midwest Talent and Peace Fest at the Coronado Theater on August 4th, and they won like $1,500. But there was another group called 815 Diversity, and so they were supposed to get in the show. They were actually on the radio with me. We had, you know, newspaper, everything, but they didn't make it to the show. So they felt some kind of way towards me. I like, look, let me make it up to you. For whatever reason, you didn't make it into the show. You know, let's do round 2. And so that's the hashtag Winners Coming Dance Battle. So I had 3 people film it. And so far, none of them have actually produced my film yet. I'm very irate about that. So the plan is to, as soon as the film is done, to live stream it on the I Am Kid Culture YouTube channel, right? Okay. And then we have a donate button because these are good kids in a mad city, right? And they get good grades. And so I'm like taking them on TV and taking them on radio, and we have a donate button, and we basically going to raise money for both teams. People can vote on which side they want to win, but both sides will get some of the money. And that's, you know, that's how we're doing it. You know, I'm just really, it's ironic because when I went to go visit one of the teams, they actually took me back to Fairgrounds Projects where I come from and took me into the apartment where I used to stay as a kid, like as a runaway. And of course, the people that I was visiting then don't live there. But it's so ironic to be taken back into this exact apartment, right? You know, 25 years later. It is 100. I mean, back then, you know, on that borderline homeless, you know, jumping in McDonald's dumpsters and taking the burgers that you know, they throw away and throw them on the hot tin and throw them in the oven so I can eat. You know, I am of the streets. I am literally that dude, right? That's just come up, just man, hungry. Very hungry and very, very much in the gutter.
Well, I do want to say, do not be irate that it hasn't gone perfectly, because what I have learned is when you try to do better and you try to create change out of a troubled past, and like I have, you come across roadblocks, but the only thing that we can keep doing is keep going. Just keep getting up, keep going, learn from what went wrong, and make it right the next time. And what you're doing for these kids is absolutely amazing. And if you can prevent just one of those kids from going down a bad path, then you've done much more than a typical American person has. There are so many people that just don't care. And for you to care as much as you do after all of the stuff you've been through. Now, you could have easily said, look, they took 23 years of my life. I'm out on bond now. I'm going to go get me a steak. I'm going to chill. I'm going to relax. And I don't give a damn about nothing. But instead, you're using your time out on bond to do positive things for the community that hurt you. And I absolutely admire you, and I am highly upset for the life that they took from you. Because had you been out here for those 23 years, think of the impact you could have already made with the heart that you have.
A lot of people told me that. It just, I mean, that really just moves me to tears in this moment, because, I mean, the destruction of what this has done to my children, what my daughters have went through, what one of my daughters is still going through, being raised by this culture that over-sexualizes young girls, and especially minority children, and what my son has went through, and the parental alienation, you know. And but ironically, because I have no brothers or sisters, you know, my children are my everything. It's in the record that actually, like the night of the crime, I had my son, you know, playing with them with a chemistry set. And the day that they came after me to arrest me, I was taking my kids to a birthday party. So I was always trying to be a father to my children. And even behind bars, I have this like concept like jail daddy. It's like an oxymoron, right? You know, it's like no matter how much you try, you can't be a father from behind bars. and you watch your children's lives unravel. It's like watching a slow motion car wreck, and
Right.
just, you know,
And it hurts.
it's really very hard.
It hurts you to not be there and to not be part of those moments, and that they're growing without you, and then it hurts them for the same reason. And,
Yes.
you know, like right now with Urban Talks Down Behind the Wall, Moms on a Mission, CBI, some of the people that I connect with, we are actually trying to get Christmas presents for children that have an absentee parent due to incarceration, and deliver Christmas presents to these kids from that absentee parent.
Well, you can put the link on my site. You know, I've always, even behind bars, I started charity hats for the homeless, and the police laughed at me. There was like no inmates going to give. And Michelle walked out there with like 4 bags of hats and thermals and gloves. Then I did cosmetics for a domestic abuse shelter. And once again, it went over great. And then my friend did art for the Alzheimer's, because I actually wrote an article that became a law. And this advocate who took my idea to Springfield, his wife had Alzheimer's, so we raised money for that. And so the prison got sick of my shit, so they marginalized us by doing a 5K race for the whole prison to donate, which I still didn't mind, because you're still doing something positive. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not here for the glory. I'm here to get it done. You know what I mean? And I'm very much... Right. I'm very much a believer in karma. I'm very much a believer, and that, like, I don't say like I'm some good dude, right? I say I touch myself to good ideas, and those good ideas lift me up out of prison. So like right now, I'm a paralegal. I have wrongful conviction consultants on Facebook. I'm going to grow that, Lord willing, into forensics for actual innocence to help other people get out. And so I do like paralegal work. I'm just like today I was scrubbing toilets. My girl has a cleaning company. So I'm like scrubbing toilets and setting up radio interviews and TV interviews in the nighttime, and trying to get listening parties for the people who donated music to me. You know, so I'm always on, always.
Right. And, I have a cleaning company, so when I read that, I kind of laughed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because
I saw that.
I have a cleaning company, and I'm trying to set up radio interviews with people like you and people that have been, hurt by this judicial system and how unfair and injustice that it is. And, I'm really fighting because of the Department of Correction. Like, I was bad. I was in the streets. I was fighting for fun. I was stealing, and I was wrong. And I deserved the time that I got. However, when I was there, I ran into a lot of people that did not deserve the time that they got. I seen them raped. I seen them beaten. And it's like, there's no correction. This is supposed to be a Department of Correction where you teach these people to love themselves and not be so angry, but all you're doing is making them more angry and then sending them out to the streets with $50 and a see you later.
You don't even get $50 in Illinois. And in the prison I was at, Stateville in Joliet, Illinois, I know of police killing inmates. Numerous beatings, the prison itself, it really made me sick. They have the black mold, it's everywhere. You're breathing this stuff. You have all the latches are cut off the windows. So here it is, like, they turn off the heat on April 15th. And this ain't Florida. This is Illinois. And after April 15th, you're in there freezing your butt off. Even it can warm up outside, but not warm up inside the prison, because it's a dungeon with very little sunlight. And you have, I call it maximum security slumlords. Like, the whole prison is like built in the 1930s. So you have the sick building syndrome. You have the crack foundation. You have billions of roaches. When I actually wrote the article, I was in the panopticon. I got in trouble. The prayer beads I'm always wearing, right? So this Southern gentleman named Terry McCann. He was the warden. He's dead now, but he's, like in a past life, he was probably pushing slave ships. So he's
Right.
like this really hard-nosed Southern guy, and he's like, he stops me. I'm wearing these prayer beads, and I'm out of uniform because I had the prayer beads out. And he stops me. It's like, I'm in the chow hall. And he stops me. He's like, "What are those?" And I'm just being a smart ass. I'm like, "These are prayer beads, sir." And he looks at me, right? The gun tower's hanging out with the shotgun and everything. And he goes, "Are you allowed to have them?" I said, "Yes, sir." And so he like gets almost eye to eye with me, right? And, there's a whole bunch of inmates in the chow hall. I'm just being a smart ass. I'm a sarcastic bastard, right? Yeah. So he says, "I don't like your attitude." I said, "We don't like your attitude either, sir. You brought much misery and suffering to the land. Don't you know I got 6 months in segregation for that? I got sent to the hole for 6 months."
Which is like prison in prison.
Yeah, I had ice on the walls. I had so many roaches. The trick of it is you take a potato chip bag and you open it up after you take all the chips out, of course, and you put it in the corner, and the roaches go into the bag and they can't get out. So you hear this little scribbling, scraping, and so. But that was actually the time that I wrote the article that became a state law signed by our governor, which allowed me to get the gun testing. So from this hell, I created this idea which became a state law, and it's talk about legacy. People are still this law was signed by the governor Blagojevich before he went to jail himself.
Right. And that's amazing. Like, you had that isolated time to create change. In the negative, you created a positive. And not only did it help you, but it's going to help others.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's a blessing.
Amazing.
It's a blessing because you have no idea how, some people would say God or just, the stars were lined up because the advocate I was telling you about, his name is Bill Ryan. He was sitting on the HJR committee, legislative committee, only for that 6 months.
Right.
Which I mean, 3 months of the 6 months, which I was in segregation. He's just an advocate. And so he was trying to get parole for Illinois prisoners, and the legislators were like, "No way." So he gave him my idea, and the little 2 paragraphs that I wrote that went into his newsletter wound up becoming a state law.
Amazing.
And it is. I was dead. I was dead in the water. I was, all my appeals were done. Everything. I was dead. If I didn't get, and you have no idea that two paragraphs is about to travel all the way to your state capital and become a state law. I didn't write it for that intention. I just wrote it like, "Hey, look, the law needs to keep up with the technology. You're using this technology." I read it in the Tribune about how they use the integrated ballistic identification system as a way to match bullets with the computer algorithm. So I'm like, "Hey, this can help me." I had already asked the appellate court in Illinois, could I get this gun testing? And in 2001, they were like, "No, our law only allows for DNA testing, and the law has to be amended." So they sent me down this wild rabbit hole. I'm writing I'm writing so many letters, the mail is coming back, and the officers are telling me I can't make envelopes, like homemade envelopes and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I got to get out. I don't know what y'all talking about. I got to get out of here,
Right. Oh, but you did it. And
yes,
we're going to follow your appeal process, and we're going to be rooting for you.
What's the trial now?
Well,
it's a trial. It's about to be a trial, or they're going to drop it. After this article went out through Ivan Marino. Yeah, after the article went out through Ivan Marino with the Associated Press last week, it went, Washington Post, New York Times, Seattle, Utah, Rockford, everywhere.
Yeah, I seen you on the news.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, I think it was right after. I had seen you on the news when they were talking about that your trial process that you had put in for a speedy trial, and it should be fairly quick.
Right.
But hopefully, it's just dropped because
Yeah.
they put you through so much shit as they do with people, and they hate to admit when they're wrong.
Oh my
And
God. And
this
will
is going to
drag
be
you through the
time
dirt.
where we're going to have to rally behind you as the public, and people need to get off their couch, and they need to make that phone call or send that email to where it needs to be sent, and hold a sign near the courthouse if you're close enough on that day, and let them know, that we stand behind you. And I'm here in your corner, and I'm going to share your interview, and I'm going to let the world know that they need to be in your corner too. They took away so much of your life, and they're still putting you through hell, and they even admitted that the police put a gun on you to commit
It's crazy.
you to prison because they just wanted a case closed. And now this man that actually committed the crime is still out there. There's no justice. Absolutely not. If anything, this has been a great injustice to everybody.
Yes. Yes.
And everybody
at a great cost to the taxpayer, at a great cost to the taxpayer, and to my life, my children's lives, my grandchildren's life, and to the family. I completely empathize with the mother, despite the fact she sat on that for 24 years.
Right.
I still empathize with them, because they're looking at me like, oh, this guy been in and out of prison, he had to do it. But it doesn't work like that. I was a hustler. I was just a hustler. I wasn't out hurting people.
Right. Right. I mean, they try to take anybody that could fit the criteria, and they'll put it on them. And I've seen it done a lot. And I hope I can work with you in the future, because I have so many cases that it is very clear that these people did not commit the crime, and they are not getting that second chance that they so deserve. I mean, the evidence is there. It's not rocket science. I have one case where a man has been incarcerated for, I think, about 8 years now, and he's still got a long time to go for a robbery of a store where the clerk was shot. But he only 5'6". He stands 5'6", and they have the videotape where the robber and the man that shot and killed this clerk walks in, and they have the height measure tape by the door. Well, the height measure tape by the door, the person was 6'1". So, I mean, it isn't even possible that it was this person unless he was wearing big clown boots or stilettos that day, and it's clear that they had on regular sneakers as well. But they won't even consider looking at it. And there's so many cases like that, and there's so many cases of people being over-sentenced just because corporations make so much money off the back of, I'm going to call slaves. They target minorities, and they make money for Victoria's Secrets, for Starbucks, for Walmart, for gas stations. It's pretty much impossible to go out and do your shopping without supporting prison labor.
Yeah, it's amazing because, I mean, even on the local level, like when I got out on bond, right? So you have all these, they connect me to pretrial service, and it has the investigative fortitude of like a Stalin's Russia, right? And they just basically have built so many police stations and courthouses here in Rockford. I call it judicial gentrification. Like they built a police station that's half the size of the projects across the street from the projects. So I just really see this way where they found a way, almost like a wartime economy. Well, you have this carceral super state. They call it like, I think other people call it like a prison industrial complex. I call it judicial gentrification, right? They come in and they know the people's proclivities. They know the behavior patterns, right? So if you like blunts, broads, and menage a trois, they're going to be right there with their drop cup waiting on you, and these like Cordant laboratories and paying for the classes and the drops and the drug programs and just, it's ad nauseum. It just doesn't stop. And the way that they found to tax poor people, right? And then you think about the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution says, well, Slavery is abolished except for the convicted felon.
Except.
And there you have it. So and they found it a way to actually monopolize by not even, you don't even have to go work a field. You can sit in that jail cell and watch, Love and Hip Hop till your eyes bleed, and they still make big money off you. You know what I mean? Big money. And so it is really about reform, judicial reform. It is really about oversight. And it's really about this, trying to get people to understand, like, this is your tax money at work, people, and this could happen to you. This could happen to your son, your nephew. This could happen to you. And so I really am very much about getting the word out. And I'm not trying to be like the angry blackety black, the what man. No, I'm trying to explain this simply in a way of revenue, where the money's going. And like in Rockford, they built a jail that they didn't need. So you have this sheriff who actually, he wanted to put the minorities, the Donald Trump arrestees, ICE arrestees in there. And so there was a little backlash. So he didn't do that. So what they do, they lock people up for dirty drops. Like, oh, well, you're on probation and you got a dirty drop. So here's 6 months jail time, or here's a weekend in jail, or here's this. And so, it's it's like preying on poor people for profit. And it's just it's amazing, because I watched the manipulation of the system. So like in Rockford, they had to lay off sheriffs. So the sheriffs that were still working in the jail, because, it's not full, they're telling the inmates, hey, look, you need to file lawsuits. And the inmates were filing lawsuits. So what does it do? It goes back to the county board and says, we need to bring back in more sheriffs. You see what I'm saying? So I watched this manipulation, and then also media. This is really why I'm really glad to talk to you, because for the most part, the media is very much like, especially in Rockford, right? So you have this hoaxy corn cob apple cider feel, right, to the news, right? And so you might have a goose walking down Main Street with an arrow jutting out its hindquarters, and that's front page news. But you turn the page, and young black men are the face of crime. You see what I'm saying? And it's this there's no real. Like in Chicago, I worked on a lot of cases dealing with the John Burge, the House of Screams, the Niggas by the Pound, all these things that came out through independent, journalists. But in Rockford, you don't have this independent journalist. They're not going, like that story that went out last week about me. It went all over the world, but it wasn't on Rockford TV to save my life. You see what I'm saying? It made the newspaper simply because my case makes news, but it's just very much a controlled flow of information, and that kind of shapes thinking.
The media, they're going to tell the story how they want it to be viewed, and the media is not going to always put. And I am not fake news is real, but what they do is they manipulate it and they let you. It's like an agenda to me. Like I said, I have a lot of conspiracy theories, but media is never going to put 100% of the real story out there. And what I want to do is just put it out there the way it is. If you're mad, you should be mad. If and they take a lot. Like I had a friend of mine, her son was, they actually got it on video, recorded it, of the police beating of her son. And she sent it to me. She didn't send it to News Channel 13 or Fox or ABC or anything like that, because she knows that they're going to say, well, before the video started, he was very And, they tried to paint people out. And I had another friend actually here that they had called the police for help. But when the police got there, it was a racist cop. And ended up calling him the N-word and everything else, but they got it on videotape. Now, when the sheriff went and did his little news thing about the accusations, it was speculation. When the video
Right.
surfaced, all of a sudden it's, oh, I'm sorry, he's been fired, he's been let go. But you should have took the accusation serious.
Right.
And,
Right.
I had aired the video, which, put the truth out there, and I let them tell their story exactly the way it happened. When they went to the news channel, everything was altered to make them look bad, when they were the ones that called them for help. And, it's ridiculous the way that they do that, and they're not helping nobody. And here we're going to try to just let it be told the way it is. And hopefully people, and, you did make a point, too. I want to touch on that. It can happen to you. It can. It can happen to you. It can happen to your daughter, your son, your cousin, your baby daddy, cousin, sister, Tracy, whoever. It can happen. And when it does, that's when you're going to decide to care. Because I have a lot of people that want to do interviews. They never cared before they were affected. They didn't care about the injustice of America. They didn't care about the prison and the private prisons making money. They didn't care that there was innocent people being killed on death row. They did not care about anything because they were unaffected. Well, I'm asking people to care because it could be you. And there are people out here that, they need you to care. They need you to get mad. They need you to want justice, even when it's not concerning or affecting you. And that is the hardest part. That is the hardest part, is to get people to care when they're unaffected. And, that's still our goal. And I hope to God that people don't have to be affected to care, because I get so many calls from people that were like, Dawn, I've been following what you advocate, and, I never really cared. But today I'm calling you because my son or my sister, they need help. Don't start caring before it's too late.
Yeah, apathy is real, and dumbing down is real, and it's almost like a control mechanism within our social construct. Because as long as you're distracted and you're following the Kardashians and this, that, and the other, you're not really seeing what's really going on. You're not caring about it. And you're definitely not going to do anything about it. And so also, too, I really, you have to remember, I stepped out in 1993 when I got out. So this whole social media thing was really kind of new to me. And I see all these different people, and it's like everyone hollering at the same time. So there's really hard to get any real unity or drive behind things, because everyone has this platform, and so you might get a like or a share or something like that. But it's really hard to really mobilize people to get out of their, one thing I really look up to is how the women's movement, right? You remember, so a couple of years ago, this whole thing, the whole pink movement, and they really hit Washington hard, right? And the Me Too and all that. And so they voted in some people. And that's the type of thing you really have to bring to bear. You have to hold people accountable. There has to be judicial accountability. And like in my case, I was facing the death penalty. That's attempted murder.
Wow.
Hands down. They knew the gun didn't match. Not only that, I had my own expert who normally testified for the state and for the FBI. And here it is, they took those pictures out the record. It took me almost 20 years to get my own ballistic evidence, my own ballistic photos. And so it's this idea that, you must obey, but, social discord is, and standing up for what people believe in is the foundations of this country, at least from, coming from, the founding fathers, coming from Great Britain, all that, UK, right? And so when you really think about it, and so this whole thing, I see glimmers of hope. I really do. I'm not bitter. No how, no way. I used to be in prison, right? I used to say, man, if they ask me, are you mad? Are you angry? I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm mad. But I'm not. I'm not. Because I understand that that's something you have to carry. You carry malice or bad feelings. Those things affect you. Those things affect your thought process.
Yep.
And so my thing is to build with love, and leave a legacy and do something positive that can help, especially people that, coming up that went
Right.
through similar situations like me. And so that's really why I'm giving my life. I'm giving my life to this.
Right.
And it's, y'all will see. I haven't done nothing yet, Don. I haven't done nothing yet. I'm going to be real with you. This little moves I made in the last year and a half is nothing. Wait till I really get up and running and doing some things. Lord willing, it will go good and will help people and put kids through college. Education increases life expectancy, and that's what I'm about.
Right. Well, I'm here. I support you, and I want you to let everybody know exactly where they can find you again and your movement and what you're going to bring for our future youth. And we're going to rally behind you for this trial. They hate to admit when they're
Okay, thank
wrong,
you so much.
but we're gonna do our best to, they have to admit it. They have to let you go, and then
Oh yeah, they have to admit it.
press charges. They try to kill you.
They
So
tried to whack me.
right,
They tried to whack me.
right,
And ironically, I was transitioning out of the streets, and I was transitioning like into this awareness of history and culture and all this. So like that my politics is probably what put me there, because I've come
right.
to understanding of the history of this country. Also, before I do that, do you think, I'll do that and I'll give my, where I'm at and all that, but I have a song. Can I play one of my songs from the mixtape?
Oh, yeah.
I'll let you choose.
Please.
I'll let you choose. So I got one, I think, queued up now, right? Basically, this is Go Hard For You. This is Lakeisha Foreman and Cedric Knowles, Blackbird Entertainment. This is about kind of like the wrongful conviction and the crime out here in Rockford, and I would love to play it for you guys.
Yes, please do.
And so people can find me. I'm all over the place, right? So Facebook, Free Patrick Pursley, all one word. Patrick Pursley also on Facebook, Instagram, Patrick Pursley, Snapchat, Twitter. I'm all over the place. But for real, what I'm trying to do, this movement, is IamKidCulture.org. Get the mixtape, listen to the mixtape. We're really pushing something positive, and so that's IamKidCulture.org. It's connected to social media, right? Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and we're doing, we're going to, like with my book, The Adventures of Kid Culture and World Explorers. Every time I sell 2018 copies, I'm going to give away $2,018 to an at-risk youth, right? And that's what we're about. That's what I'm about. That we have a 501c3, so you can donate and get tax write-off. Tax season right around the corner. And look at the site, give us feedback, and if you have talent, go to Kid Culture Talent LLC. We're looking for young people. We're looking for people with a positive message, right? I really very much like, I think it's real ironic when I left, like NWA, Straight Outta Compton, right? And so like gangster rap really took over the airwaves, and that positive messages got drowned out. But then you got like Kendrick Lamar winning a Pulitzer Prize, and he's coming straight out of Compton. So I always believe that one drop of positivity can outweigh 1,000 negative voices. And so I hope that you guys follow me. And thank you, Dawn, so much. I really, if you know people that need legal help, right? I'm a certified paralegal, wrongful conviction consultants, right? On Facebook, and if you want to put your cleaning company on my website, you can gladly sponsor, and I will the toy drive, all that. I'm about that life. You know what I mean? That's what I'm about. And I really believe in the power of positivity. What we put out comes back to us.
Yes. Yeah, I fully agree.
So I would love to play the song for you before we fade out, okay?
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to hear it. It's music, not music. Police convicted. Time stop, and you listen. Single arm is talking. Get that shot. Imagery, what happened to the silence? Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Real nice, brown skin. Our courage, twin fingers. Get my shit from a kid. Trying to raise them right. Make us to the homeless. Passing gloves, they own it. I'm hard, drip, drip. Party wild. Living in a little while, made ice. We don't know you when you turn around. When you hit the ground. We don't know you when you turn around. When you hit the ground. I'm sorry. Like you doing the same thing. Into the same thing. We know that's the same thing. To my head, damn my rear. I'm not fit. Are you here with 60 back up from the street? I pay for the life I live. I told friends in the cabinet. That's what you to volunteer. That's what my city I do for the kids. I'm gonna know where I live. I'm gonna know it. Some people wanna Netflix and chill. Some people wanna chill and Netflix. But I pay for the life I live. That's what my city. It's a fight. Mostly connected. That's not right. Find your life. It's so right. That's what my city. In the spotlight. We don't know you when you turn around. When you hit the ground. We don't know you when you turn around. When you hit the ground. We don't know you when you turn around.
What you think, Don?
I think that is absolutely amazing, and you have a whole mix of youth with positive message, and that in itself,
it gives me chills. It really does, and we have such an array. Like we got some 11-year-olds rapping about. We don't say about our grades, and they are actually a relative to one of the people who got killed, what we're dedicating this mixtape to. He was a rapper named One Way who was murdered in Fairgrounds Projects, the projects where I come from. On the street where I got arrested, there's like 3 shrines to kids that got killed. And you have little kids getting off the school bus, bebopping through these death sites. You know what I mean? So basically with the kids, with their,
it affects them, you know.
Of course it does. Of course.
You know, living in a community where, you know, you're not guaranteed tomorrow, and there's so much violence, and it's insane that they can take that and they can put it into music and create a positive message and hope for change. And I think it is just completely awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm doing speaking engagements. I run my mouth for a fee. And I just want to thank you. I'm glad you like the music. If you guys like good positive hip hop and something with a message, like if you hear that and you play that back, she's actually rapping about, you know, the violence and single motherhood and my wrongful conviction. She even has in there about the you know, bars made of ice, you know, just wrongful conviction, you know, time stops. And so I'm honored. I'm so honored. You know, Cedric Knowles from Blackbird Entertainment, Tyrese Holt, also Blackbird Entertainment, they donated over 100 hours. And, you know, man, artists, they just came through. They came through, and we're telling a story of what's going on, but also, like, police killing unarmed black men, that's an issue on there. Gang recruitment of kids, that's an issue on there. You know, just Confidence, that's another song, Dino Glover. You know, Breathe by Dontisha McGee. You know, we are saying something, and we're
Right.
saying something positive.
It's a message that needs to be heard, and these people that are creating these messages, whether they be 11 or 20 or that are getting on your mixtape, they deserve the limelight and they deserve to be heard. I'm definitely going to get my copy tonight, and I'm going to put a link of it on my page, and I also would like the link to your book. It's all up from here. It's all up from here. I have nothing but positive vibes to send your way and what you're doing, and I am excited for the change and the positivity that you're bringing. I really am. It is an honor to be able to interview you, and I am just amazed, and I applaud every effort.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm really very grateful. I'm very blessed to be out here. You know, I can't even explain to you. Every time I really think about that idea, just, you know, they wanted me to rot in prison for the rest of my life.
Right. And they probably still do. They probably still do, but we're not going to allow that to happen.
No, I didn't come this far to go back. I didn't. Someone said, God got you. Don't worry about it. I didn't come this far to go backwards. I didn't.
You didn't. You have. You're needed out here. There's not many people that are doing what you're doing, and like again, I say I applaud you, and I look forward to many, many years of your positive change and your freedom, and being able to join in that with you and follow you, and I will be doing just that. I thank you for your time here on Urban Talks, and I will be talking to you again soon. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.